So students, you get your monthly mortgage payment in the mail, and you're saying, okay, I need to pay this monthly bill off, and I only have 359 more of these, and then I own my house free and clear. I'll have paid the bank off. Why 359? Well, most mortgages are 360-month mortgages, which means they're 30-year mortgages. And even though your monthly payment is identical, it's fixed month to month, the amount you're paying in interest and the amount you're paying in principal, or the amount you owe, changes every single month. And we can take a look at that difference down here in this example. So you have a monthly mortgage payment here because you took a $100,000 mortgage out for 30 years at an interest rate of 6%. And the bank said, no problem, we will help you with that. You just need to pay us $600 a month for the next 30 years. I mean, that's a big commitment. But you sign on the dotted line, it gets notarized, the attorneys check it out, gets a documentation stamp, boom, loan is originated, you are a homeowner. They give you the keys. But of this $600, which is going to interest and which part is going to go to the principal? We can calculate that here. So for your very first payment, it's like so exciting to pay your first payment on your house because you're like, I'm an official homeowner. And then every other time you get the bill in the mail, you're like, these are subsequently less exciting because I have to pay $600. But your first payment is pretty exciting. And you get to see, like, well, how much am I actually paying off on my house versus how much am I paying in interest? So again, this $600, part of it's going to pay the interest, which is the 6% on the money that you're borrowing. And some of it is going to go to pay the principal, and this changes every single month. So how do you do this? Well, we take 6%, and we divide it by 12 because we have 12 months in a year in their monthly payments. So you're not going to pay the 6% it's not 6% per month. That would be a terrible deal. It's 6% per year, so we need to divide it by 12. In the very first payment, you owe the full $100,000. Okay, so I'm going to write $100K here for $100,000. And I know 6% over 12. Let me simplify that a little bit because I don't want to deal with a 12 when I'm trying to use my mental math skills. I want to simplify it. And I know 6 is divisible by 6 and 12 is divisible by 6. So if I divide both of these by 6, something good will happen. So I have 6% divided by 6 gives me 1%. And 12 divided by 6 is 2. And I multiply this by, again, 100,000. So I say to myself, what is 1% of 100,000? Well, that's actually not too terribly taxing. We could do like the 10% where we say, oh, we'll divide it by 10 and then divide it again. But 1% of 100 is 1. So 1% of 100,000 is 1,000. So I multiply these numerators and I'll get $1,000 divided by 2, which is 500. Okay, so $500 is, again, this is all based off my interest rate, right? So this $500 represents how much of this $600 I'm paying in interest. So let me use a different color here. So this is $500, which means if I'm paying $500 in interest, I'm only paying $100 in principal. Yes, in the beginning, it is quite ugly. Why don't you think about that again? Your first payment, you own the house, you're like, oh, I can't wait to start paying down my mortgage. I want to own more of my house. Because right now, I owe the bank so much money. And so you pay your $600 and you're like, all right, I've chipped away $600. No, you haven't. You've chipped away $100. $500 of that went right to the bank in the form of an interest payment. in the beginning of owning a house, it's super ugly because you only paid down $100 on $100,000. In other words, you still owe $99,900 of your original principal. Yeah, I mean, you got to remember this is a 30-year process. So the first month is probably going to be a little ugly like this, where it's like you're basically just paying the bank. You're not paying a whole lot of this principal down. So that's your first payment, but fear not, it gets better. Okay, so let me erase these so that we can look at a subsequent payment down the road. So after the 5th year of payments, so 1 year, $600 a month, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years of $600 a month, the principal is still really high, $92,920. You're like, ugh, because you just aren't paying down that much principal every month. Like most of your initial payments for the first few years are interest. What is the interest on the next month's payment? Add a little apostrophe. This is possessive here. So after 5 years, so the first month in the 6th year, what is our interest payment going to be? Well, we remember that we did 6% over 12, which turned out to be 1% over 2. And then we just multiply that by how much money we owe. We still owe $92,920. $2,920. All right, so if we take 1% of this, well, it's kind of challenging thinking about taking 1% of that, but let's remember back to what it was when it was 100,000. When it was 100,000, we took 1% of that. We had 1,000. Now it's a little bit less. So what's a little bit less than 1,000 with these exact numbers? $929.20. We'll need to divide that by 2 in order to determine what the principal is on this 6th year, first month worth of payments. So we're going to do $929.20. So we can do the standard algorithm here. All right, it goes in 4 times. Subtract. 6 goes in cleanly. 12. Let me scoot this up so you can see. As I continue to do the standard algorithm for division, I'll bring down my 9. And that goes in 4 times. So now I have 8 and 60. Okay, so $464.60. That makes sense. So let me erase this bit for a second. This bit. Okay, so after 5 years of 12 payments a month, you'll have 60 payments. So this represents the next payment. So this is the 61st payment. We're still paying that flat $600 a month. But in interest, we're going to pay $464 of that, 60 cents, as interest. And the remainder is the principal. So that's $135.40. 40 in principal. So you can see how it's changing, thankfully. As you pay down your principal and the principal amount decreases, that's good because you're going to pay less interest, which means your $600 monthly payment can be dedicated more to paying down your principal. So over time, you're going to notice that you're going to accelerate on your principal payment. Your principal will get smaller and ever smaller and ever smaller until finally, 30 years later, your last payment will be almost nothing in interest and $600 in principal, and it'll be your last payment, and you'll be like, woo-wee. People, like, I'm not sure they have this now, but they used to have mortgage burning parties, and they'd be like, we just paid our last payment on our mortgage, and they would like get the paperwork and light it on fire. They were so happy. Now, there are a lot of things that, like, I scratch my head. One, you're like releasing so much greenhouse gas into the atmosphere just so you can celebrate. Isn't there a better way to celebrate? Two, don't you need that documentation to, like, prove that you actually owned the mortgage? I don't know. Maybe they made copies of it and then burned it. That's actually probably what they did. But mortgage burning parties are because people are so happy that finally, after 30 years, they're able to actually call the house their own. So I hope you enjoyed finding the interest and principal split between your monthly payments today. Have a great day.